Welcome to the first module of the course Better Legislation for Smoother Implementation. In this module you will learn about what is meant by better legislation for smoother implementation, or simply BLSI, where this concept comes from, and the BLSI community. To understand the BLSI concept, let's set the scene first. Lawmaking comes from a long way back with many traditions. Since centuries, law could be made from decisions from one single person or by public assemblies. It was even sometimes written in stone. Law is and has always needed to be implemented and enforced by people on the ground. Think of officials from tax authorities or employment services, people working to keep our public places clean and safe, people working on the ground on the vaccination campaign, and many others providing public services. They all ensure that the law is applied on a day-to-day basis. Today, where many of the challenges remain the same, the ongoing digital transformation of our society brings new opportunities and challenges for the making and the implementation of legal acts. We moved from King's decision to co-designing law with stakeholders and using foresight data to predict the future, and from law written in stone to law drafted with the assistance of digital technologies or using linked legal data. Tomorrow we may translate law in code and rely on artificial intelligence to take some decisions based on this code. So in certain cases, legal text will be interpreted and implemented by digital technologies and not by human actors. This has enormous impact on how public administrations function. The lawfulness of decisions will more and more depend on complex IT systems and less on the acts of civil servants. For that reason, legal acts and related IT systems and data flows have to be designed with great care, as they have to ensure legal protection for the citizens as well as interoperability between these complex IT systems. This calls for new skills for policymakers and new ways of designing policies, including the work in multidisciplinary teams. We will explore these topics together in the next modules. But before that, let's summarize what is meant by BLSI and see where this concept comes from. In a nutshell, the concept of better legislation for smoother implementation means to make best use of technology and data in the policymaking process, for example by using foresight data or digital tools to assist the policymaking process, and to enable best use of technology and data when law is implemented, with the overall objective to make implementation of policies and laws smoother and to deliver more added value to citizens.
But where does the BLSI concept come from? To understand where the BLSI concept comes from, let's get familiar with the concept of interoperability first. The European Interoperability Framework, EIF, was adopted by the European Commission in 2017 and provides a definition of this concept and a set of principles and recommendations to apply in European public services. According to the EIF, interoperability, in short IOP, is defined as the ability of organizations to interact towards mutually beneficial goals involving the sharing of information and knowledge between these organizations through the business processes that they support by means of the exchange of data between their ICT systems. According to the EIF, there are 4 layers of IOP to achieve integrated public service governance: legal, organizational, semantic, and technical. Legal interoperability is particularly relevant for BLSI. It ensures that organizations operating under different legal frameworks, policies, and strategies are able to work together. In practice, legal interoperability activities target policy and lawmaking in order to raise awareness about the importance that legal acts duly and timely consider interoperability requirements and thus pave the way for smooth and efficient policy implementation. For more details about IOP and the EIF in general, please consult the section Further Resources of this course. While legal interoperability is a very rich concept, the team working on its promotion within the European Commission and beyond realized that many stakeholders find it very technical. This gave the idea to grasp its essence in simple terms, that is, better legislation for smoother implementation. Consequently, the term BLSI covers the same concept as legal interoperability, but makes the latter more accessible. Funded by the European programs like ISA² and the Digital Europe program, the European Commission's Legal Interoperability team launched the BLSI community at the beginning of 2020 to increase its awareness-raising efforts around the topic and to create a common platform where ideas, material, good practices and events could be shared. Raising awareness of legal interoperability is challenging, not only because of its slightly technical nature, but also because the key stakeholders from whom the BLSI messages are relevant group up in two different worlds. The policy and legal world on the one hand, the operational and IT world, which is key for policy's implementation, on the other hand. Unfortunately, these different profiles often work in silos and do not fully understand what the other are doing and what they can bring to the table when formulating digital-ready policies. BLSI is all about reconciling these two worlds. Therefore, one of the key objectives of the BLSI community is to bring together these two worlds and foster mutual understanding and opportunities to work together for better legislation.
But why to make all these efforts to raise awareness about legal interoperability? Among many reasons, because EU member states also call for it. In their Berlin Declaration, issued in December 2020, they asked the European Commission and other EU institutions to ensure through the better regulation framework that policies and legislative acts proposed by the European Commission are digital ready and interoperable by default, and to support the exchange with member states through a community around better legislation and to pilot and share solutions. The Better Legislation for Smoother Implementation, or BLSI community, and the BLSI training path directly address this call, in particular by fostering multidisciplinary community and building capacity around better legislation for smoother implementation. You can find a video about the Berlin Declaration in the Further Resources section of this course. The BLSI community is a living and continuously growing multidisciplinary community on better legislation. The community has 3 different pillars which you can navigate on the join-up collection: digital-ready policymaking, legislation and technology, and streamlining regulatory reporting. Hosted on the join-up platform, the community aims to share good practices and co-create tools with interoperability in mind by gathering the different groups involved in the policymaking. And it also promotes relevant events, news, materials, tools, and more. You are very welcome to join the BLSI community by visiting and becoming a member of our join-up collection, subscribing to our newsletter, or joining us for one of our next webinars. Thank you for following this module. Please continue to the next section to learn more about the key enabler of BLSI, multidisciplinary teams.